Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and we're having a look at a new MBT that is coming into the game. Well, it's more like an old new MBT, I suppose. This is the M1A2T and it is coming in for the Chinese tech tree in War Thunder. This is probably going to be the most controversial addition in this update. But what is the M1A2T? Well, it's pretty much just an M1A2 in Taiwanese colors. This is the exported M1A2, which is going to Taiwan, and that's why it's in the Chinese tech tree. You can see it here at rank 8 after the VT4A1, so you're going to have to go through the other kind of export vehicles in order to get access to it right here. Now, is it that different compared to the standard M1A2 that you have in the American tech tree? No, it's pretty much the same. The major thing is you don't get any of the SEP upgrades, but you do get some pretty interesting firepower. You can see the armor is exactly the same as the M1A2. It has the 120mm M256. It has the 4-man crew, the driver, the loader, the gunner, and also the commander at the back. It has the big old engine, the 1500 Honeywell gas turbine, and also a transmission to be able to mean that this vehicle moves around at a canter. The Abrams hasn't really been the same since they added in this turret ring this basket, sorry, because whenever you get penetrated now, you basically have to repair this basket, which puts you out of action for 20 to 30 seconds, and a lot of other vehicles in the game do not have access to this basket. So what ends up happening is you just get screwed when you shoot the enemy and it goes straight through, thank you Type 10s and Type 90s, and then when they shoot you, you get crippling damage and you kind of just get stuck there and don't really know what to do. The Abrams also has these funny exterior fuel tanks, which are surrounded by armor, which are fantastic at eating shots as well. So you do have to be a bit careful of that, but it also does have a very weak turret ring, which is sat here too. So there are areas to kind of shoot. There are areas that are not to shoot. And obviously on the Abrams, the major areas to not shoot are anywhere near these fuel tanks and also the cheeks, which remember are actually asymmetrical, which is fun. The Leopard 2s are also, well, the Leopard 2 in general is asymmetrical, which is something that just annoys me to this day. But if you have a look at the Abrams, it's incredibly asymmetrical in terms of its turret. So yeah, if you're a person who is a bit ADHD about these things or, you know, a bit like that, sorry for letting you know. The vehicle has 12 smoke grenades, which is the standard amount for the M1A2. It also has access to the 50 cal on the top, and also the 7.62mm M240 machine gun, which you can see right here. The other parts of the Abrams, which generally work pretty well too, are just the general mobility. This is very much your like standard vehicle that you will get from the Americans, just in the Chinese tech tree. And it has -10 gun depression, it has the 5-second reload, it has the really good targeting speed, which is one of the really nice things about the Abrams. And in terms of differences compared to the American one, it's pretty much the rounds. So you know how you get the M829A2 for the M1A2? Well, for the Chinese Abrams, you get the KEW round as a stock round because this thing is a rank 8 vehicle, therefore it gets stock APF SDS. So you get the KEW, which is a good round. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. It works well. But then you get a new round, which is the KEW A2. This is an upgraded version of the KEW. You can see that it pens 363mm at 60 degrees at 10 meters, which will be enough to pretty much go through everything. And just to kind of show you it compared to the M82A2 or M89A2, sorry, I always get confused with the name of it. This is the 29A2, which is at 364. So it's incredibly close in terms of penetration to the M829A2. And even though it's labeled something different and is a different round, you'll pretty much be getting the same performance from it in terms of it. That's really just the major difference between them. There isn't a lot else. I suppose the camouflages are different, which is part of the vehicle, but it's not something to really write home about. It just has access to the Taiwan camos instead of the standard Chinese or American camos. The most interesting thing about this vehicle is the fact that it's actually been added and how much controversy is it actually going to create. These are the thermals on it, by the way. Looks like Gen 2 thermals, which is nice. It also has the different voice lines, the Chinese ones, which shouldn't be too surprising. But yeah, this vehicle being added to China is going to annoy a lot of Americans, mainly because of the fact that China and America are seen as adversaries in terms of the world stage, because they kind of are. They're two of the world's superpowers, constantly bickering and fighting over different stuff. And that goes for the actual country itself and the citizens too. So to see an Abrams, basically the main battle tank of America, put into the Chinese tech tree, I wouldn't be very surprised if we see a lot of people who are annoyed about this and generally feel quite a disservice to Gaijin because of that fact. But at the end of the day, it isn't too surprising to me that this vehicle has turned up. You have to understand that they have other American vehicles that have turned up over the years in the tech tree for the Chinese. You know, stuff like the M60s, the CM11, of course, the Greyhound, even going way back. So to see this be added alongside all of the other ones, to me, it's more of the same. It's an expansion of the game, which is going to continue to happening. You know, they're not going to stop expanding things. And since the deal was struck between Taiwan and America, to see this thing represented is no surprise to me at all. I hope that in the future, you know, this means that other nations also live by the same rules, and we're not just doing that thing where it's okay to have Americans annoyed at you, because generally that is seen as the area that is okay to have annoyed at you. But when it comes to Russia, or when it comes to China, it is seen as not okay for them to be annoyed at you because of the simple fact that they will kick up more of a fuss than their American counterparts. I hope that in the future, Gaijin treats everybody equally when it comes to these export vehicles, and it means that their decisions are not not kowtowed towards specific aggressive community members, and instead are what is best for the game. The Abrams itself gives different variety to the Chinese tech tree, and it means that in general Chinese players can enjoy the Abrams without having to grind through the American tech tree. It also means that if an American person wants to play the Chinese vehicles and the American stuff, they're able to, without having weird hamstrung rules in the way. But the only main thing that I can reiterate over and over and over again about these things isn't actually about it being added. It's about making sure that the rules are the same for everybody. Everybody lives by the same rules, and everybody dies by the same rules. And if that isn't the case when it comes to War Thunder, then that is a huge problem. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.